Order. Our invocation name be read by Councilman Cluart. Our pledge by Councilman Adrian Thompson.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, we ask that you protect the people of Ascension Parish. Give us strength. Lord, we'd like to now tell you that we appreciate the hard work of the committee on the Home Rule Charter for long term and countless number of hours they put in trying to improve the future of Ascension Parish. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Ms. Cinnamon. All present with the exception of Councilman Chris Lohr and Councilman Dempsey Lambert. I don't have any chair additions. There's public comment period. Anyone wish to speak on any agenda tonight, sign in with Ms. Cinnamon. You'll be allotted 3 minutes. What we'll do, Councilman, Ms. Lindsay, if you see something you can instruct us or direct us, please let me know. I think this is the first time for most of us, something like this. We are introducing ordinances number 5 through 23. First one up, item 5, introduction of ordinance. Consider an ordinance amending Article 3, Sections 3-02, compensation of the Ascension Parish Charter. Ms. Lindsay?
We're not reading the ordinances
Okay.
tonight.
Councilman, does anybody have any items on this that you want to discuss or anything before we bring it to a vote? I need a motion, please. Motion by Councilman Valentine. Second by Councilman Cluart. Any discussion?
Discussion.
Discussion. Councilman Valentine.
Just read it, please. Everybody will know what we're discussing.
Well, it's really just an introduction. Really, the reading will take place at the next meeting. Typically, we don't have that, but I do have some comments since this is the first one we're going to take up. First of all, thank the Charter with the hard work that they did. Charter Commission, very lengthy as far as the process that it took place. And a lot of trials that went through with people dropping out and then being added and what have you. So I want to commend the 3 members that are here tonight. You did an excellent job, guys, and as did all the people. One of the problems that I have, though, and I did send an email to Miss Lindsay about it, is we did not get the record of recommendations in the form that the ordinance called for. And one of the specific things it called for was that each item was separate, and the vote on each item was supposed to accompany it. And if you look on the ordinance, that's exactly what it said. So I'm going to call point of order on that particular situation, Chairman. I know you can't rule on that tonight, but that's something that's going to have to be answered. Ms. Lindsay, I know you and I kind of discussed that through an email situation, but did you read that section? I mean, I do think that this is not in the form that it should be. And the only reason I bring that up is this is the official document of Ascension Parish. This is the charter. If it can be challenged, it can be challenged on anything that we did not do according to law, which is what the ordinance was. So I do point that out as a point of contention on the fact that it would leave us vulnerable on that situation. Other than that, Chairman, that's all I have on that particular situation. I would like to ask for a point of information. Are we going to take this up next week once we do this? Is the public hearing all going to be on the 30th?
Public hearing will be on the 30th. It'll be on the 30th.
Okay. There would also be a problem, and I think if you look at our charter, we would be defying what our charter says. It says that it has to be published at least 1 week in advance of the meeting. If our official journal is going to be the Gonzales Weekly, it doesn't come out till Friday. Last time I checked, that's 6.5 days, not 7. So
well, we can
we're
get
going to have
in the Tuesday edition.
It's going to have to be
Tuesday
published
also.
7 days prior to the meeting. So if it's going to be published
this Tuesday.
Tuesday, that's Tuesday.
Right.
It's still got to be 7 days before the meeting. They still won't be 7 days. That's Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. So they
Well-
had a publication today, and Friday's the next one. So, council, you might want to check on that also. We may not be able to take up this issue on the 30th.
Ms.
That's all
Lindsay?
I have, Chairman.
Okay. Any more discussion? Councilman Thompson?
Yes, there's a couple of things, changes that we need to, I think we need to go over. We can't go over them today. We could discuss them and go over them today.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Manda, could you give us some clarification of what Mr. Valentine is talking about? Because there's no use to go a whole lot further unless we...
Well, we're still going to have to introduce him,
Right.
though, Parish President. I mean...
But I'd like to know what you
Right.
thought so.
Right, the report and recommendations from the Home Rule Charter Commission did require that each vote had to be recorded, and that was in fact done. I met after Councilman Valentine addressed this issue. I met with Council Secretary and asked her to get the minutes to all the councilmen so they could see who voted for which item. And I'm not sure whether or not that was done. I asked Suzanne, and she's not here tonight. So.
You saying that they...
So they can still be provided before
Yeah.
adoption, before the ordinance is adopted, but each member did record their vote. There was a roll call on every item before the council tonight, and I think the council, by ordinance, has a right to know who voted what way for what item. So I think that's what.
Yeah, typically, Parish President, what it should have done, it should have came attached to this, just like when we get planning and zoning recommendations, you see how the planning and zoning votes. I mean, that's typical how it should have been done, and that's how specifically the ordinance called for it to be addressed to us in the record of recommendations that they were supposed to be.
And I guess, the situation being what it is, we're trying to get this on October ballot. When Mr. Bell asked us, we were looking at
Right.
the time frame.
I understand.
And basically, that's what it is, a cost-saving measure if you're going to put this before the people.
Right, and
So,
it is.
Again, we want to make sure that we follow all the right rules and regulations to get this done.
But I also
understand.
don't want to be compared to Washington, D.C. at the present time. We're
I
trying to
got you.
rush something through.
I understand.
And this is very important,
Yes, sir.
as Mr. McMillan can attest.
Any more discussion? I've got a motion, I've got a second. Do I have any objection to this first introduction? Ordinance is introduced. It's number 3-02. Introduction of ordinance 3-03. I'll need a motion, please.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Councilman Todd Lambert.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kent Shakespeare. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance is introduced. Three dash 07. Need a motion, please. Motion by Councilman Cluart.
Second.
Second by Councilman Benny Johnson. Any discussion?
Discussion.
Councilman Thompson.
Where you got the appointee shall be ineligible to be a candidate in an election to fill a vacancy that he or she fill. I think that, could I make a substitute motion to put eligible,
Amended motion?
amended motion? I don't see why, if you appoint somebody to a position and they decide to run, they should be penalized. I disagree with that.
Okay, sir. You're making that in the form of a motion? We
make
have a
that.
motion, amended motion by Councilman
Amended motion.
Thompson,
Second.
second by Councilman Randy Cluart. Any discussion?
Let's make that clear what Mr. Thompson's trying to ask for now.
Yes.
If I understand right, Councilman, you or the appointee shall be, you're changing ineligible to eligible.
Eligible.
That's the only thing changing.
That's the only thing changed, eligible.
Okay, sir.
Which is completely opposite of what the Charter Commission is suggesting.
Right.
Any more discussion?
Are we,
I have a point of order, yeah, but
Yeah.
whether we can amend it at this point, or do we amend it at the next meeting? Or what is,
Well, we can amend an ordinance at any time.
Even in an introduction, you can amend it
Yeah.
if that's what he so chooses.
okay.
I mean, it's to y'all's pleasure. If y'all want to read them off and run everything straight on through to Donaldsville, we can do it, but,
Chairman.
Well, I realize that we can amend everything, we can keep it, change it, and or drop it at, at the next meeting. I'm just trying to see whether it's,
Sure.
we should whether we should introduce these like the Charter Commission suggested, and then have discussions throughout the parish where everybody can see them as introduced, and then at the next meeting vote on amendments and things like that, because we would get input from people.
well,
And it
and that's
could
what
be-
I think
It
that's
could
what-
be some suggestions that would be brought up now, and then people would have a chance for a couple of weeks to talk
we can
about
talk
it.
about it, right. And just
then
go
we
ahead
can
and
make our
introduce
final
everything.
point.
Councilman, would you consent to that?
I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not objecting to, what Councilman Thompson, because
I think this is
pretty much
what
agree with it.
Councilman Valentine
Well,
said at
but
the very
what
start.
it does is this puts the seal for the introduction to be published. So what Mr. Thompson is doing is switching it now, so it's going to be published as the way he suggests. The way you deal with that is, if you're not in favor of doing that, then you have to vote against his motion, so that the original motion, unamended, goes in the paper. So
or he can withdraw the
but it's-
motion.
Or he can withdraw it. That's up to him. But that's what that's about. So
Well,
you
that
can't
take
you
the
can't you
confusion
can't.
out of it.
Well, you will. You take the confusion out on what's going to be published, but there may be some confusion if some people have prior knowledge to what this is,
Well,
and
you're-
do not realize we changed it and don't look at the official vote.
The
But
discussion mode will really take place at the public hearing.
and I kind of tend to agree with Councilman Shakes and I. We might ought to pass it like the chamber brought it in, and then you can amend it at the meeting with the public hearing, which is also feasible.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like the chairman of the review board that came up and asked a question. I guess the reason for this, y'all put it in there, was to be more fair to the people that's running this race. If we appoint somebody, he's got an edge on the guy that's going to actually be running for that seat. And I'm wondering if that's where y'all come from about putting this in there. It is a little, not say conflict, but it is, like I said, we the council appoint someone for that position, he has a starting edge on whoever runs for that seat.
That was the intent of the commission, was to give it a fair shot for everybody.
Yeah.
That if there's somebody going to be appointed that wants to run, we felt like that they would not accept the appointment and wait the short time that it would take and start campaigning and everything, and not
Correct.
be tied up and trying to do duties of the council or whatever he's running for, and not try to do the duties of that and his campaign to run for that. It would not give him a fair.
It'd be fair for everybody.
Be fair to everybody. That was the intent.
I see your point. Okay, that's what I wanted. Thank you.
Councilman Kluart.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
on down the line in another item, don't we have, where it comes to the council members right here, wasn't it where he could run? It was. I think we had at least one example that a person was appointed into a council seat and ran for that office.
You mean right now?
Twice, yeah, no, before, at least at twice, a
I
council
think so.
member.
I'm not up
Yeah.
to date with what you asked.
Yeah, I don't want to name anybody on TV
No,
here.
I'm
but-
not up to date with what you asked. Maybe the parish president might.
Yeah, he
know.
can tell me. I know good and well. So,
No, I don't
Where-
intend on that particular.
what are we changing for which positions? That's my question. Feel free to whatever the logic was of, and you explained it just now,
Right. Yes, sir.
and you felt the same way. Your committee felt the same way.
Yes, sir, Councilman. The majority of the commission felt like that it would be unfair for the person that would be. I mean, that it'd be unfair for those that were not appointed. Would be give an edge to the person that would be appointed. That the time frame from appointing somebody to the time that he can run would be shortened, so that we felt like that if you want the office, wait and run for it, and do your politicking and for it.
Yes, sir.
Chairman, I really don't think that have anything to do with it, because I know one gentleman was appointed a couple of terms ago, and he ran for the position, and he came in dead last. So I really don't think that has much bearing on. I think that if a person feel that they want to serve and they want to serve us, I think they need to have that opportunity.
Okay.
To give them that opportunity to serve.
Like Mr. Kluwart said, Mr. Chairman, like Mr. Kluwart said, it could backfire him because he's trying to get his feet wet, trying to learn what's going on with the council, and he don't have enough time to campaign. So in that case, it could go both ways. It's fair to both parties in that perspective.
I mean, those are just our recommendations, and the consensus of the commission felt like that it would give an edge to the person that was appointed if he was given the opportunity or given a chance, or he could run. So we recommended that if he was appointed, just as what you see in the front of you, if he was appointed, that he could not run for that position.
Councilman Thompson, stay with your motion.
I'll withdraw it if that's what the wishes of the board, to bring it to the full council and discuss it later.
Okay, we will revert back to the original motion. We have a first, we have a second.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
If we do, I know the goal of this is to try to get it on October ballot. If we do that and make the amendments at the public hearings, does that affect the ability of us getting it on the ballot in October?
No, it should.
I think what was explained to me, we need 48 hours after the July 30th. Is that correct? August the 6th is the deadline to get it on the ballot. I think that we need 48 hours according to Malcolm Dugas before he can.
I would defer to bond counsel.
Okay. Okay, we got any more discussion? Any objection? Parish President.
I would just say on this one, I mean, the way you doing it, you can just withdraw that whole thing without having to go through that if you decide that's not what you want to do, because right now,
That's how it is.
it would be the same as it
Yeah.
is today, so you don't have to go through, anyway, you can just, at the next meeting, say, you know, you just want to.
Well, we have to introduce an ordinance.
No, I'm okay, that's not what I'm saying, I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
Okay.
I got you.
We're just going to introduce them all as is?
Yeah.
Chairman.
Yes, sir. Councilman Joseph.
Because I'm kind of confused on this. If we change this to today, it's posted in the paper, correct? Then we goes to the final meeting, we change it. When we change it then, that's where it would post on for the way it's gonna be on the ballot.
That's correct.
That is correct.
So the public, with the only notice they would have on it is when they're putting it on the ballot. That would be it. Won't be no public comments on it or anything like that after.
It's going to be publicized. I mean, you're going to have 2 months, actually 2.5 months before the ballot.
Okay. So when they change the vote on it, then that's the way it would be advertised
That's correct.
to the voters.
Right. Any more discussion? Any objection? Ordinance is introduced. Item 308. Parish President temporary absent. Need a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Councilman Kluart. Second by Councilman Bennett Johnson. In discussion? Any objection? Ordinance introduced. Agenda item number 9, amending Article 4, Section 4-02, election of the Ascension Parish Charter.
Motion.
Need a motion. Councilman Dennis Cullen.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kent Shakespeare. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance is introduced. Section 4-05. Consider an ordinance, the governing authority meetings of the Ascension Parish Charter. Need a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Benny Johnson. Second by Councilman Randy Kluart. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance introduced.
I know you know.
Item number 11, Section 4-09, council employees. I'll need a motion, please.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Thompson.
Second.
Second by Councilman Cullen. Any objection? Any discussion? Excuse me. Any objection? Ordinance introduced. Section 4-12, powers in general. I'll need a motion.
So moved.
I didn't see. Councilman Benny Johnson. Motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Cullen. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance introduced. 4-16, bonds for employees. Need a motion, please. Councilman Benny Johnson.
Second.
Second by Councilman Cullen. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance introduced.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Chairman, you do 12.
And I request just a clarification on number 9. If we should wish to go back for a second, I'd just like a clarification on one thing that I missed. Please, sir.
Number 9.
Lindsay. I'm sorry. Go back to number 9, and I apologize for not catching my notes. It says on page 417 at the top, it says an election of council members is scheduled for the same year in which the census data are publicized and federal approval is required for the reapportionment plan. Then the council by ordinance may postpone reapportionment for not more than 1 year. We have the power to postpone reapportionment?
I believe that Commissioner Poche was involved in this, and he knows a lot more about it than I do. I don't know if he stepped out, if he could answer that. Maybe we could come back to this item and let him address it.
Can you do some research on that? Because I was told
I thought
that
the justice.
I was told that that was something that was pretty hard and fast. So I mean, and I may have been misinformed, but please let's clarify that.
Okay, certainly.
Okay, 4-21, vacancies. Need a motion, please.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cluard.
Second.
Second by Councilman Cullen. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance introduced. Section 5-01, Parish Secretary and Treasurer. Need a motion, please.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Thompson. Second by Councilman Randy Cluart. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance introduced. Agenda item 16, section 5-03, Parish Attorney. Need a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cullen, second by Councilman Cluart. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance introduced. Section 6-02, enactment of an ordinance. Need a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Thompson,
Second.
second by Councilman Cullen. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance introduced. Section 6-04, emergency ordinances. Need a motion, please. Councilman Cluart. Second by Councilman Benny Johnson. Any discussion?
Yeah, discussion. I think that on this, we had on resolution, I just,
That's next.
yeah, on emergency resolution. Okay.
Any more discussion? Any objection? Ordinance introduced. 6-07, resolutions. Need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cullen.
I'll second it, just going forward.
Second by Councilman Randy Cluart. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance introduced. 7-04, surety bonds. Need a motion. Councilman Benny Johnson. Second by Councilman Randy Cluard. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance introduced. Section 8-01, legal process.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Benny Johnson.
Second.
Second by Councilman Cullen. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance introduced. Eight 08, the official journal. Need a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Thompson. Second by Councilman Kent Shakespeare. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance introduced. Section 9-01,
Motion.
origination.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Thompson, second by Councilman Kent Shakespeare. Any discussion? Councilman Cluard.
Yes, Miss Manda. We're on item number 23. I just wanted to, before we adjourn, we have, I guess you had some correspondence with Mr. Valentine about, what's the legalities and whether we have the right time frame and whether this was presented to us in the correct way. We do. This is good.
When I received...
Because I couldn't hear you real good on the, when you was talking about the secretary or whatever handing out.
Right. Mr. Valentine's correct. The ordinance creating the Home Rule Charter Commission does require them to submit a report of recommendations to you, which they did. But along with that report, there should have been a roll call vote, which was taken at the meeting and is in the minutes, but that was not provided to you all, and it is required to be provided. So I did, upon receiving Mr. Valentine's email, I asked Council Secretary to provide that to you all. In my opinion, it's not too late to rectify that as long as you all, before final consideration, have seen the roll call and seen the minutes, but it's something that needs to be provided to you all very soon.
Yeah. I just think that the whole issue just kind of brings up a negative note. I actually came here prepared tonight to talk about some of this stuff and not just, run through it and wait till the next time, but make sure we get it right. Thank you, ma'am.
Parish President, please.
Also, on the time frame, did y'all send the paperwork out today to the newspaper? What? Okay, so
It was my understanding that Don was going to send the ordinances on Friday for a deadline of today, and that was done.
so that would be okay on the time frame?
Yes.
You okay? I want to make sure because. Okay, so that's okay. So we'll make sure on this other, and if there's a problem, we will notify the council chairman. Go from there.
Okay, sir.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
My only comment to the parish president is very presumptuous to send ordinances to be published before we actually approve them. So I would suggest that once again we start to look like Washington. let's not do that. But if that's what we did, that indeed is wrong. But let's just clarify it so that we don't leave ourselves open to be challenged.
Want to do it
That's
the
all
right
I'm
way,
asking.
Mr. Valentine, and I will correct the actions that's been taken. I assure you.
Before we adjourn, Councilman, let's get some comments from Mr. Poche on item 9, please. Or maybe Lindsay's taking care of it. Mr. Poche, please. Mr. Councilman Thompson, I believe you had comments.
Yes. We were just looking at
was looking at, the census could be postponed for 1 year.
No, the reapportionment.
The reapportionment could be postponed for 1 year.
Can it be?
Are we asking?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Mr. Thompson.
In the second part, it says if an election of council members is scheduled for the same year in which the census data are publicized and federal approval is required for the reapportionment plan, then the council by ordinance may postpone reapportionment for not more than 1 year. We have the power to postpone reapportionment?
That is correct under circumstances, not just in generally speaking. You have to have reasons for it. It's clearly set out in Title 18. It's clearly set out in Title 18. Ms. Mann is going to get a copy of that and provide each of you with a copy of that.
Okay, because the information that I had that we do not have.
You have to do it without having a particular reason for postponing it and doing it.
And that has happened.
It has happened in the past.
Did not get cleared.
It has happened because we had some problems with the precinct alignments and justice approval, and you have to have that prior to being able to do your apportionment. And it did not just affect the parish council. Anyone who is reapportioning by using precincts to do so is required to have justice approval before you actually use them. So it became a problem, and it was postponed, but that only happened once that I know of, and it was not for a whole year, but it was postponed. It didn't happen that particular year.
Okay. Thanks.
That was in 1984, by the way.
So this need to be changed in the charter.
The charter, what we're asking for in the charter is to follow the state Title 18 regulations. And I mean, it's clear she's going to provide y'all with a copy of it.
Get a copy. Okay. Any more discussion with Mr. Poche?
Motion adjourned, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Lambert. Second by Councilman Valentine.